Hey there, guys. My name is Brandon, aka Suns Geek, and if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. That is right, guys. The Phoenix Suns defeat the Los Angeles Lakers 111-96. And you guys probably already know my guests today. They're not even guests anymore. They are part of the Suns Geek squad because they adopted me to their Valley podcast. So with that being said, I am with the Valley podcast with Coach Evan, Gabe, and Salty. How you guys doing?
Awesome.
Gabe, I know that you got a beer over there. So do I. I cracked mine open a few minutes early. What are you drinking over there, man?
This is made in Austin. It's an Austin Amber. I see you're an Amber man also. What are you guys drinking on tonight in the chat? Salty, what do you got? Some brown liquor?
No, I got hard seltzer, my dude.
Hard seltzer. I love hard seltzers.
I said this a few pods ago. This is my first Memphis beer since I've been living in Memphis. Not sure if you guys can see that. Fireside. Oh, yeah. It's absolutely delicious. But yeah, guys, as we were talking before the show, this was a nice win. One takeaway that I immediately took away throughout the game was that we were up at 10 points here and there, and then they did a really good job of hanging in there throughout this game. We're eventually going to dive into the stats and stuff, but I kind of just wanted to go round table, just ask you guys individually your thoughts. That was kind of just my biggest takeaway was I knew we were going to win, but they were doing a great job of just hanging in there. They kept going on little runs that would claw back into the game, but then the Suns did the exact same thing, and they kept, leading by 10 or going on a 15-point run. And then eventually we closed out the game. Let's start off with Coach. Coach, what were your takeaways tonight? And just really, what did you think of the game? Eventually, we're probably going to get into Ayton talk because he did have a good game. So, Coach, why don't you get started, man?
First thing, shout out to LaMelo Ball and his it season ending? I think it was.
That's what the main reports are saying.
That sucks.
I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to talk about that later on. Go ahead.
Sorry for
go for it.
Injuries with me first. That just sucks. So hopefully for the good of the Hornets, maybe they're probably not going to go on a run like we all thought they would, so maybe we'll give them a better draft position for next year. Maybe the Hornets can finally make a team. It'd be nice to see another small market thrive. So first off that. Second, I thought we'll get into Deandre Ayton, so I'm going to save my thoughts there because I have a few different takes tonight that I'm excited to share. But the main one was Cam Johnson being back and how good he looked shooting, actually. So he had a nice haircut. He looked good shooting. He had a couple pump fakes, quick dribble in for Schroeder too. It was nice to see him do that. And then I thought the lineups were interesting. And then watching Torrey Craig, So at one point, our second unit, with 2 minutes left, Devin Booker got pulled in the first quarter, and then he got pulled with 3 or 4 minutes left in the third quarter. Usually Monty extends that to the end of the first and third, and we don't see Book forever. But then we had Cam Payne, Langston Galloway, Nader, Cam Johnson, and Saric as our full backup unit. So it was nice to see that. Craig came in to start the second and start the fourth, I believe, for a little bit. And then he got pulled quickly, only played 7 minutes. But I'm already fully on the Craig over Nader headline, so we can go there later. So those are my takeaways, but they did what they were supposed to do tonight, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I hate to admit this. We can talk about it later. We can go on our Abdel Nader rant later. But I think for now, the Abdel Nader experiment is over. I hate to admit it because I made a whole video on that guy saying that he's earning his way into the rotation, but the guy plays hard. He had 5 fouls. Yeah, exactly. Gabe, go ahead.
I want to ask you, so what makes you so sure that the Nader experiment is over? Because in my opinion, he's I think if Monty were to get remarried, I think he's going to ask Nader to be his best man. He loves Nader. Nader can't do
Frank
anything.
Kaminsky, the usher.
You know what I'm saying? At what point we've talked about this already, 3 times. We're I think Nader's playing like crap. He will not stop going to the rack. 1v3. Yeah, Nader's got to get some playing time revoked. No, if anything, he's getting more playing time.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going anywhere.
The only counter I would say to that, and obviously I don't know what Monty Williams and company are scheming, is that they did bring in Torrey Craig, who, if I'm correct, plays the same position. I'm not saying that Nader's going to be off the team or that he's going to be traded or anything, but like if you're struggling out there, Monty's not going to play you, but at the same time, if you play hard in practice, which I'm sure Nader does, Monty rewards you for that. That's just my counter to that. But Gabe, do you have any thoughts on the game, or is this kind of what you wanted to go on?
No, let's just stick on Nader for a second for the sake of it. So I was just thinking about this today. I think that Sticks needs to just shadow Nader and just do everything. Eat what Nader eats, wear the same socks to the same length, be like him in every way.
Don't forget that Nader's not a rookie, man.
No. The reason why is because whatever Nader is doing, that's what Monty likes.
Right.
And it seems like he's the antithesis of Sticks at this point. Say that 10 times fast. Sticks can't get himself on the court no matter how much talent he has and how much upside he has. Nader doesn't really have that much upside and not that much talent, and he can't get himself pulled. So I'm just saying, Sticks, follow Nader. He'll learn you. Salty, your thoughts?
I unfortunately didn't watch the first half because I don't know. I think I saw Kiz tweet out it was like 9 his time, and I was like, anyway, daylight savings doesn't happen here in Arizona.
The time zones are all messed up.
I guess is Texas 2 hours different now?
Yeah, it's almost
Memphis is 2 hours from.
Yeah,
Phoenix,
so I saw Kiz's tweet, and all of a sudden I was just like in old time. So I was like, okay, I'll turn the game on at 8. And I turned it on. It's like a minute left in the half. So I did watch the first quarter, and I did. The only quarter I didn't watch was the second. But regardless of that, I knew we were going to win. I mean, how could we not win at this point? They don't have AD. They don't have LeBron James. They don't have Gasol. Mm-hmm. But I did take the chance to go look at like their other players, their role players, right? Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell,
Taylor Horton Tucker.
Yeah, him, and then who else would be kind of a stand?
Kuzma.
Yeah, Kuzma. Mm-hmm. And I was just kind of focusing in on them because they're going to play a role in the playoffs, right? When LeBron's back or if AD comes back. So I was focusing on that. Montrez just killed it, like that dude's a beast. I think he prefers to come off the bench because you're asking why didn't he start? I think I was watching the Lakers broadcast and they said he prefers to come off the bench.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's his thing, but he was beasting down low. I like his game, and then Schroeder and CP3 were going back and forward, dude. They were getting into it, man. Like if you watched the back and forth between them, that was interesting. At one point, CP3 was like dancing, like he was just shaking him up, and then they just went back and forth. A couple fouls were called. You could tell that there's kind of a thing going on, but CP3. I think got the best of that situation, but Schroeder's good, and he was picked up this offseason. So I'm kind of trying to figure out if this team is better than last year's team. What would you guys say? Like, would you say this year's Lakers team is better than last year's based off of the?
No.
Like, what do you guys think?
I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of talk that they kind of downgraded in a way. I mean, Montrezl Harrell was a good pickup, but they were kind of saying on the broadcast too that I think Wesley Matthews has been struggling. Obviously, injuries come into play. I mean, they're the NBA champions, though. That's the way I look at it. And they are, like, I think, number 1 in defensive rating. I could be wrong about that. And that's one reason why I think they stuck in the game, even without LeBron and AD, is that they're such a good defensive team. Now, you could make the argument, the Suns were just toying with them. They probably should have just put this game away. We tried in some stretches, but they just kept clawing back into this game. So, but, I mean, in my opinion, they kind of downgraded, but obviously they're a contender. Anytime you have LeBron and Anthony Davis, you're a contender. What do you guys think?
Coach?
I think they're a worse team. KCP is playing worse, and he's
been struggling.
Yeah, and he's playing more minutes. Mm-hmm. Wesley Matthews has just been absolutely horrible this year. I mean, they said it multiple times, and I forgot he was even on the floor some stretches. Markieff
Same thing with
Morris.
Markieff. Yeah, with Markieff.
not a fan of him. I mean, I don't think any Suns fan was ever a fan of him. But I mean, I'm not a fan of him at all. We saw what he did in crunch time last year in the finals too. But at the same time, people want to say if LeBron and AD were playing, it'd have been a different game. I'm like, yeah, but I also think given the Suns' history with playing against superior opponents, I think the Suns would have come out and played a little harder as well too. Maybe would have been more crisp. Obviously, there would have been a way different game plan if those two guys were playing. So, but we played who was in front of us. But to answer your question, no. For all the shit that Danny Green got last year from Lakers fans, I haven't really heard that about Wes Matthews or KCP or Kuzma or anything, right?
You're absolutely right, because we had Romp on, recently, and I even said it. He's been saying it that Danny Green deserves more credit. I love Danny Green.
I agree
for what he's done on the court. Been to the finals a bunch of times. Go ahead, Gabe.
No, dude. Danny Green went to the Lakers and pulled a Trevor Ariza. He went to the Lakers, and it was like the Monstars had taken whatever talent he had out of a basketball and just left the planet with it. He was garbage for the Lakers. So they're not going to miss him at all. But to answer the first question, hell no, the Lakers aren't as good as they were last year. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Losing JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard.
I forgot about JaVale McGee.
Replacing those two with Marc Gasol, an equal team does not make. They are susceptible to getting – first of all, if LeBron is gone as we fear he might be, they might not make the playoffs. They might get stuck in a
situation
where they hit. I'm saying LeBron doesn't
not
come
make
back.
the playoffs. What,
bro?
Yeah,
they're gonna make the playoffs.
Okay,
I'll take you on a bet.
Close. That's
Look
fine.
at the standings.
Look at how close the standings are, like 2 through 8. Very close. If LeBron is out for an extended time, does anyone think that that Lakers team is better than, say, Doncic and them? Like, I think Doncic could handle that Lakers team with no Bron and no AD. That allows a couple more teams to catch up. And if they get stuck in that play-in game, that 7 to 8 play-in game that the league instituted because they're so desperate to get Zion Williams into the playoffs, then
but
they could be screwed.
You got to be careful what you wish for. Because if they slide down to a lower position, you might face them in the first round, bro.
True.
So, I don't know. Like, what is an high ankle sprain usually?
They say 6 to 8 weeks. That's what I've heard and seen from everybody. So
long time, Salt. That's a lot of games.
I'll just say this: it's LeBron James, and apparently this man spends $1 million or more on his body.
Yeah.
Eddie Johnson made a point, though, whether you like Eddie Johnson or not. He made a good point.
We love him. What are you talking about?
He's like, why is LeBron here? Like, you wouldn't want, and I was like, that's actually a good point. Like, I didn't think about that.
He said it.
He brought it up.
He said it kind of seems like if he's here, if he's healthy enough to travel to Phoenix to come watch them play, then, hey, maybe he's not as hurt as people are letting on. And maybe he's not going to be out that long.
I don't think he's going to be out that long.
I agree.
If he's out for just 6 weeks, let's say it's the minimum time that they say as of right now, 1 day after, and we don't know how people are gonna deal with it, right? So 6 weeks, that takes it to mid-April with still about 16 to 20 games left. So they could easily come back to the 4, 5, 6 seed. But Gabe is right. At these next 6 weeks, I think they're gonna plummet.
It's like every team is going to be like a shark that smells blood in the water. We got the Lakers. They don't have LeBron. First of all, this is our chance to beat them because they're going to be on national TV, and every Lakers game is. Second of all, we need to go ahead and put them out while LeBron's on his back. Mm-hmm. Every team.
We got the tiebreaker, too. We got that tonight.
Yeah, it could happen. Sure, we'll see.
So if you guys are joining us for the first time, my name is Suns Geek, and I'm live with my good friends, the Valley Podcast. Someone, I think it was a burner account, one of our favorite people in these live streams, said that Suns Geek's in a new location, which I am. I'm actually trapped in Gabe's basement. Someone please help me. That's a little inside joke from the past. But no, I'm just in a different room because I do live with my family and people are sleeping and yada yada. You guys get it. You guys know. But yes, and just so you guys know, we might be transferring over in maybe like 30 minutes or possibly longer to the Valley Podcast. So just go to the search bar on YouTube, check out the Valley Podcast, and subscribe to them. Yeah, I think the link's in the description. Yeah, put the link in the chat if I didn't do that. And go subscribe to them because they've adopted me over on their channel. I love working with these guys. They know their stuff. They are hardcore Suns fans. And I love having them because you guys help me with these live streams. I've told you that before, so I appreciate you guys. We got 54 people in here. You guys are all incredible. I wish I could be focusing on every single comment and chat, so you guys help me keep an eye on that. I'd really appreciate it. Let's look at some stats here. Since we kind of got everybody's thoughts, I want to kind of go off something that Coach said earlier. Cam Johnson, man, we don't exactly know if he had COVID necessarily, and I hate saying that because it's we all know what's going on, but he must have a gym at his house or something, or they must have been allowing him to practice somewhere because it was like his first possession. I think he ran to the corner and just drained a three. There was even one play late in the game where he got called for a foul or something, but he drained the three. I was like, dude, this guy cannot miss. And even though we dropped a couple games like the Pacers and the Timberwolves, it kind of goes to show that Cam Johnson was missed. I think you guys were talking about that. He was great tonight. But let's keep looking at the stats. I do want to start with the Suns stats. I'm surprised that we've gone this far without talking about Deandre Ayton, but let me start with Chris
17 minutes.
Okay.
So,
exactly.
So
I
made a comment on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, you let your game do the talking.
Right.
If Deandre Ayton plays up to Deandre Ayton's potential, guess how much shit talk's going to happen on Twitter?
None.
And social media.
And on Suns Geek's YouTube channel.
Yeah, none.
Yeah.
What are you going to shit talk? He did his thing.
Exactly.
So we're going to sing his praise, and that's the thing. Like, these haters think that we just have an agenda against this dude. I do not have an agenda. If he played like this, like
every
80%,
night,
like 80% of the time, all this hate would go away, and people wouldn't be tweeting about him and talking, smack.
Right. Absolutely. No, I thought he played really well tonight. He seemed focused. He was aggressive. He had one rebound earlier in the game where he tipped it up and caught it. I was like, that's the kind of rebounding we need from you, Ayton. He had a couple alley-oops tonight where he didn't just dunk it with two hands. He dunked it with one hand. He went up when he got those alley-oops. He looked great. Coach, what did you see from Deandre Ayton tonight?
I thought he did great, and we're all going to talk about the defense, the scoring. He was 10 of 13, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I've been saying is look at all the other little things. Tonight, beginning of the game, I forgot who it was on the Lakers that drove. I think it might have been KCP or something like that. Drove right by. He went from the wing, and Deandre Ayton was guarding his guy on the elbow. The guy on the wing went around him and kind of got caught up with Deandre Ayton and Mikal on the elbow, and Mikal was supposed to take him, and he didn't. He thought Deandre was, and Deandre turned around and yelled at Mikal, like, no, dude, that's your guy. And then they walked down the court. Happened again in the third quarter where he was yelling at somebody for giving up the wrong rotation. Then he went to the bench, and he gave 2 or 3 emphatic high fives to people. Those are things that we haven't seen. When Deandre Ayton is engaged like that, I'm all aboard keeping him, man. That's the Deandre Ayton we want to see engaged. It's not even effort or hustle. Yeah. No, it's just engaged.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I remember in the first quarter in particular, I don't know why the first quarter is speaking to me so much, but there were a couple small defensive breakdowns, but in a way it wasn't really Deandre Ayton's fault. And I 100% agree with you. Now, I'm not saying that, the team, it's a team game, team defense, yada, 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 but Ayton played. I'm not saying he had the greatest game ever. He probably made a couple small mistakes out there, but they weren't that noticeable. He played really well tonight. Obviously, the referees were biased towards the Lakers. He played so good. He was engaged. He was talking out there. That's another thing. Now, I'm still going to give him crap for jogging up court, but that's just me. Gabe, what did you see out of DeAndre Ayton tonight?
Do you mind if I talk directly to DA? I know he's watching.
Go, put him full screen, Geek. Put him full screen.
All right. Thank you.
Go for it. Oh, man.
You like that? DA, you played like the fucking man tonight. I refuse to say one bad word about you tonight. I could, but I won't. Because you earned it tonight, and here's why. You had 12 points and 4 rebounds at halftime. You finished up with 26 points or 27, something like that. This is the first time I've seen you play 2 halves that were equal in I don't know how long. I hereby shut up, and if you can continue to play even 3/4 this well, I think we can win a title this year. That's it.
Absolutely. Before we get to any additional salty DA thoughts, I just wanted to say this Ayton. Now I know it's just one game. We play the Heat next, but this Ayton reminded me of the Ayton that was nominated for the Western Conference Player of the Week, which Devin Booker won 2 of those just this season in February. You guys get my point here?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Salty or Coach or Gabe, you got any additional thoughts on DA? It's good that we aren't really ranting too much about DA. This is a really good thing.
I don't want to say anything else about him because I'm afraid I'll slide into something and completely contradict myself. So go ahead, Salty.
It was nice to see him get that 10,000th assist from Chris Paul. That was cool.
Yeah.
It was a nice alley-oop.
That's great.
I wonder if that would be in like the Hall of Fame or whatever. They like to save those moments. So that's a pretty sweet moment because sometimes your like milestones, they're not like the coolest thing in the world. So
they're gonna show that for years to come, dude.
And don't worry, we're gonna get to Chris Paul. We are gonna get to Chris Paul. Don't worry.
But yeah, DA engaged. That's all you want. What's up
about that dunk, Salty?
Yeah.
They showed it in slow motion because it was such a momentous or such a big assist for Chris Paul, right? DA's head was like literally almost eye level with the rim.
Right? That was what I was saying. Like when he went up for those dunks, he caught it.
So damn it, I'm kind of sliding into a negative thing here, but I did see someone on Twitter showing a replay of Holmes because that's been a hot topic on Twitter. It's been a hot topic, right? No, sorry. Jackson Hayes. It was Jackson Hayes. He goes into 2 people, still dunks, and it looks incredible. And someone commented, this might have been in Suns Nation group on Facebook. Shout out if anybody in there is watching. So someone said, why can't Ayton do this? And somebody said, because Ayton can't jump that high. I don't believe that anymore. After that alley-oop, go back and watch it from Chris Paul. That alley-oop, he got up, so up. And I'm convinced that when he goes body to body with somebody like Miles Turner and gets sent away, that's a mental thing, not a I can't jump that high thing. What do you think?
Absolutely. I don't know if I've ever really questioned DA's, ability to get up, but again, it all comes down to effort and engagement, and tonight we saw a lot of that. Unless there's anything else, I would like to talk about Chris Paul quickly, and then we'll get your guys' thoughts. I mean, 10,000 career assists. And it's funny, I was talking to my good friend, Romp 2.0, who all of you on this channel know who he is. I remember I was doing my grades video, and we were just talking about it. And he's like, dude, there's really nothing to say about Chris Paul, because Chris Paul does this like each and every single night. It's like the Chris Paul standard. This is what you expect out of this guy. Now, he did get off to a slow start offensively, but 10,000 career assists. I don't have the list up in front of me, but I know he's up there with Stockton and Magic and yada, yada, yada. I think Mark Jackson might be on that list.
Correct.
Chris Paul's absolutely incredible, and he showed it tonight. And yes, he was going at it with Dennis Schroeder, who was annoying and pesky, but that's what Dennis Schroeder does. He did have the theatrics, on that little Chris Paul kind of elbow charge. That was bullshit, by the way. But yeah, he's an incredible player. Charles Barkley always calls him the best leader in the NBA. Future Hall of Famer Chris Paul, 10,000 assists. It's absolutely insane. Coach, what do you think?
Shout out Chris Paul.
I'm going to full screen you.
Awesome. Shout out Salty too, because I remember watching the very first Suns game versus the there was the Hornets at the time, and they were in Oklahoma City because that was right after Katrina. But we were playing in Oklahoma City against the Hornets, who are from New Orleans, if that makes any sense. But it was Chris Paul's rookie year, and he said, I want this dude on my team. And then later in the year, this was like right during the Nash years and MVPs and stuff, Salty was like, man, I would almost take him over Chris Paul at this point. Then like 1 or 2 years later, he's like, yep, I'll take Chris Paul on my team anytime. And then almost got traded to the Lakers, but then got traded to the Clippers. Rest is history. But shout out to Chris Paul, man. 10,000 assists. And to have Deandre Ayton wear the Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan superhero cape and almost kind of cock back on that jam a little bit, that was perfect. Chris Paul deserved that type of assist. It definitely didn't deserve to be like some sort of fluke play or a DeAndre Ayton turnaround jumper, nothing like that. It was a great play. That's going to go down in history, and he's pretty close to passing Magic. I think he only needs like 125, 124 assists, something like that.
Yeah.
And he had a triple-double tonight. And I'm going to say, I think Dennis Schroeder woke up Chris Paul tonight. He was feisty. He had like 3 straight steals in the fourth quarter to seal the game. All of them, all 3 steals went to Chris Paul jumper, DeAndre Ayton hook shot, and a Devin Booker shot. All 3 of our stars got involved. So I pray for Dennis Schroeder when we play them in the playoffs, because Chris Paul's going to look over there every time and be like, okay, you want to do this? All right, this is what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Gabe, you want to talk about Chris Paul?
I definitely, and I want to talk about Schroeder against him. Man, I wrote this down. A matchup between him and CP3 in the playoffs is going to be awesome. You know, you're going to have LeBron and AD there. If this happens, we might not play them, but if it did, I'm really going to be watching that matchup. It reminds me tonight reminded me a little bit of Patrick Beverley. Mm-hmm. Like, I've got this chip on my shoulder. You're Chris Paul. I want to show you what's what. I want to make myself look good up against the point guard. And I really liked the way Schroeder's attitude was tonight. He wasn't taking shit from anybody. He was going hard on Ayton. Like, he should have gotten maybe like a flagrant a couple of times, ripping Ayton's arm down when he got the ball. But you know, shout out to him. He played a hard game. It was fun to watch. Wasn't that fun basketball, watching Chris Paul clapping as he finally draws a foul that he felt was awesome. Warranted.
Yeah.
Seeing Chris Paul get like that, man, Schroeder is going to bring that out of Chris Paul in the playoffs, and that means we're probably going to win that series.
Talen Horton-Tucker, I think that's his name, and Montrezl Harrell, they put up some points for them, but Dennis Schroeder was out there kind of killing us. You know, add him to the Suns killers list, if you know what I mean. Yeah. You could make the argument if Schroeder didn't play or didn't get hot that we would have just blown them out. Salty, any thoughts on Chris Paul, how annoying Dennis Schroeder is? What do you think, Salty? I'm going to full screen you as well.
I'm going to full screen you. That sounds interesting. All right, so I'm going to blow you guys' mind with this hot take.
Here we go.
Get some milk because it's about to get hot with this take. All right. So I'm gonna say something that's probably controversial when it comes to Suns fans, but CP3 is better than Steve Nash. All right, I'm gonna throw it out there. Okay. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna make a scenario for you right now. Okay. So Chris Paul, every team he's on, he makes them better and he takes them to the playoffs, right? He hasn't got to that pinnacle of a championship game or a championship. He hasn't got one. Neither did Nash, right? He didn't get us to the finals either. Nash got MVPs. Nash got MVPs, and those are controversial as well. Just go ask Shaq. So I'm gonna tell you why Chris Paul is better than Steve Nash. All right, so if you transplant Chris Paul and you put him on those teams, what do you think would happen? Do you think that they would reach the finals? Do you think they'd be worse? Do you think they'd be better? I'm going to tell you that they'd be better because Chris Paul is he'd probably be, I don't know, Chris Paul is probably equal passing, He's a better ball handler. Steve Nash is a better three-point shooter. But the thing that is the X factor for Chris Paul that separates him from Nash is his defense, because Nash was a liability on defense. He didn't play defense at all. So if you insert Chris Paul on those prime Amari teams, especially a couple of those, whatever you want to pick the years, I'm pretty sure we would have probably got at least one championship, if not two, or multiple, because I just feel like Chris Paul would have done everything that Steve Nash did, minus a little bit of three-point shooting, but he would have brought more to the table with defense. So it's a hot take. I understand that Nash has those two MVPs, but it's those MVPs, you could say it could have went to Kobe or could have went to some other people or whatever. And I respect Nash for what he brought to the table, but we had incredible skill players that time. And I just feel like CP3, for what he is, 10,000 assists, obviously a Hall of Famer. He's called the point guard for a reason, because his ball handling is just ridiculous. Like, he doesn't turn it on at all times, but when he did against Schroeder, because I think Schroeder pissed him off, he started going into like point guard mode. And when he does that, dude, it's just like cool to watch. It's like watching a poet write a poem, or some musician writing some sonnet or some shit. Like, this guy is like, it's the extension of his
Salty
handles.
likes poetry? No,
I don't. I mean, it's just a metaphor, but like, Steve Nash is really good with his handles, right? Really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
really Chris Paul is like another level, dude. So I hope you guys understand what I'm talking about right now. And I feel like it's just circumstance with Chris Paul and the teams he's been on. And I feel like if he would have had that talent that Steve Nash had, I feel like he would have took it to the top, dude. So,
dude, imagine CP3 and Amari,
dude.
Not that Nash and Amari was anything to sneeze at, anything at all. But you look at what he did with Blake Griffin. What do you think he could have done with Amari, who I think is better than Blake Griffin on a whole? Like, their career to career, I would take Amari over Blake Griffin.
Sorry for you squeaking
all day.
Facts.
All day. And then CP3 loves running the pick and roll. It's like his forte. And then imagine, because I don't think you guys remember how bad Nash was on defense. Like, he
was atrocious. He was worse than Booker.
Anybody he would guard would just go off, so he had to be that much better on offense to kind of counteract that. So imagine putting CP3 in there that could actually guard his man, and then like the differential there, because you wouldn't be giving up that much points to their point guard, and then you could do some different things defensively, and then he would do everything on offense you needed to do and more. So I was just thinking about that.
Salty, listen, when you started out saying this, I was like starting to be like, oh, like, get ready. But you convinced me, man. I'm actually convinced now that CP3 100% makes our team better than Nash would, because he's not just a decent defender and Nash was poor. Nash was poor and CP3 is elite. So, like, if I'm going to give them a 2K grade on offense, I give Nash a 96, I give Paul a 95, okay? But I give Nash like a 76 on defense, and I give Paul a 95. How does that not translate to fast break points when you're getting steals in the backcourt? Steals, pressure, instead of giving up open shot after open shot. Go ahead, Coach.
How many times could we have used just 2 or 3 steals in the Spurs series back in the day, or the Western Conference? 2 or 3 steals a game, two or three more open possessions for dunks. Just that alone.
Imagine CP3 on Tony Parker back in the day, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Because Tony Parker roasted our asses.
Facts.
So
welcome to the Steve Nash slander podcast.
Dude, no.
I like Steve Nash more than Chris Paul.
These are good problems.
That doesn't mean we don't dislike him.
These are good. These are champagne problems.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in here talking about the fact that we currently have a point guard who you have a legitimate case to make is better than the greatest point guard we've ever had on our team. That's a champagne problem. Nobody should be upset about that. We should be happy.
Yeah.
Just like we're happy that Ayton played like he got a fresh shot of testosterone right in the old caboose.
I wish my mind was working better right now because, Salty, I'm not saying I agree with you, but I'm not saying I disagree with you. I just feel like that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time.
It's just to give him – it's to put it in perspective more than anything, more than the scenario. Because if you could drop him into that scenario and he actually perform or even outperform to one of the best players that ever played on the Suns, and the fact that we have him on the team now, that's like perspective for you of how lucky we are as a franchise to have CP3. And if you want to give him his props, that's giving him his props, you know?
Exactly.
Like, he is our MVP, in my opinion. Booker is really good, but he's the glue guy that gets everything going, you know?
And, you know, I'm a huge NBA history nerd. I mean, I'm probably going to forget some point guards here. I mean, obviously Steve Nash, Chris Paul. I think Kevin Johnson was a point guard. Jason Kidd. The list goes on. You know, there's probably point guards I forgot about that we've had. And
Did you mention KJ?
Yeah, KJ. I always forget that Dick Van Arsdale wasn't a point guard, but he kind of seemed like a point guard.
Dragic.
Yeah, how did I forget about Dragic? Thank you. Like, so many great point guards.
Mike James.
Hey.
Mike James.
I will not allow
Isaiah
any Mike
Thomas.
James slander on here. I made videos about Mike James.
Dude, I liked you. It's just you and me, Geek. These two probably hate his guts, and everyone in the stream.
I like him.
Did you?
What are you talking about?
Dude, he can score, man. He was good.
I loved him.
You know what his problem was? He had a little bit of that Nader gene, and once he got things going, I swear to God, you can go back and watch the tape, bro. Book would look at him like, "You gonna shoot that shot? You're gonna shoot that shot when I'm sitting right here." It was like several times where James would just do his thing, and maybe he'd make it, but you'd see Book running up the court like, this fucking guy.
Exactly. Once again, if you guys are just joining us, my name is Suns Geek. I am here with my good friends, the Valley Podcast, Coach Evan, Gabe, and Salty. 54 people in here. We've been going live for about 38 minutes now, 37 minutes. And we appreciate each and every single one of you who are in here. We're just talking about the game. We're talking about Chris Paul. We went on a positive Deandre Ayton rant. I might have to upload it separately because...
Hey.
Exactly, like... DeAndre Ayton played great tonight, but I'm going to kind of say something that Coach likes to say a lot, and he's totally right. It's all about what he does in the next game. I want to see how he follows up with this against the Miami Heat, which they've been playing. Yeah, and Bam Adebayo. That's going to be tough. And that's kind of why I wish that the Lakers were somewhat fully healthy tonight, or at least had Anthony Davis. I would have loved to see how Ayton played against Davis.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or even Marc Gasol. Like, sure, Marc is old, he's heavy, but the dude's a Hall of Famer. He can play. You know what I mean? Like, I wish they would have been somewhat healthy, but let's be thankful with this.
Yeah,
DeAndre Ayton played great. Well, he played good.
For him, it's great. No, for him, it's great.
Yeah. He played great. Go ahead, Gabe. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I agree. I want to fight their best. I want to play against their best so we can see what's what. But see, I feel
especially
different
since we're
tonight.
good this year.
Yes, but I already know we can beat them with just LeBron, right? You know, but Ayton needed this game. This was a slump buster for him. He was in a severe slump, averaging like 11-something points and 7 rebounds. That is worse than his previous slump, which was this whole season, which was like 11 and 12, some stuff like that. So he needed this game. He needed it bad. You could see Coach was saying like he was actually high-fiving people with the correct side of his hand.
And that stuff matters, like Coach has been saying, and even Salty said it perfectly, the eye test. So I agree with you guys. Let me see what else we can talk about. You guys got anything else?
I think the rotation, which has been a big focus for Monty going into the rest of the season, we had everybody available, and we didn't play Frank Kaminsky, thank God. And I just felt like the level of our play just went up. And when Torrey Craig was out there, I just felt the confidence with him, his foot speed, his length, his size.
Let's save the Torrey Craig's talk for when we go over to our podcast, right? Because that's gonna. I want to talk about Torrey Craig, bro. I'm excited.
Then I got nothing for you.
I know you're excited.
I tried to put a link for our podcast, but I think you have to be a mod, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. On that note, I guess we'll just close it out.
You don't have
here.
to, Geek. You don't have to. No,
I mean, I'm good. I like I said, I came into this live stream just with a couple of notes, and you guys already know what you're doing. I'm down to go to your guys' channel, and we can continue the Suns talk there.
It's got more of an OnlyFans vibe over there. You know, Salty gets on camera, and it gets wild.
Someone dropped that link though, so they can click on it.
Yeah, let's do that before we exit. I think we've learned that last.
Once again, you guys, live at the Valley Podcast. We are going to go hop over to the Valley Podcast here in a few minutes. I'll make sure to add the link in the description. I should have done that before. Make sure to Hulk smash the like button on this podcast, this live stream. Just wanted to talk Suns and Lakers.
You're going back in the hole for that. For forgetting to put the stream in.
Yeah,
just put it in the chat.
I'm a terrible host. Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. But yeah, we're gonna probably go live over there, and then we can continue this awesome Suns talk. And I think eventually, maybe during the off season, we need to have that Steve Nash and Chris Paul conversation like in full depth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I just linked your YouTube channel in the chat, but let me add it to the description too. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like during the off season when our brains are clear, we have time. You know what I mean? And we could just talk NBA history,
whole season, playoff run from Chris Paul.
And we could maybe we could do a little homework and dive into some stats and be like, well, Steve Nash averaged this year. We should do that one day on both of our channels. That'd be amazing. So yeah, any last final thoughts before we get out of here on my channel? I'm gonna add the.
We appreciate it, man, and it's fun as always. So thank you for having us on.
Exactly. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Love having you on here. And by the way, for anybody who cares, I would love to do live streams after every game like the Valley Podcast does, but I do have a personal life. I do have a job. Real life comes first. You guys.
Damn, we don't have lives and jobs. What the hell is this?
You guys are. You're
going back in the basement, Geek.
I'm already here. Somebody help me. What was that sign language for help? Was it this? But yeah, so I will link everything. I will tweet it out right now. Go to the search bar. Check out the Valley Podcast. We're going to go live probably in a few minutes, if not right away, and we're going to have more Suns talk. So thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Brandon, a.k.a. Suns Geek, and if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Thank you guys so much for watching.